I think they're just white.
I think they're just white. They haven't, they haven't
Sometimes
changed.
the girls set
Changed
it to
the
where
settings.
it changes from like white to rainbow. I'm like, yeah, we don't want that right now. That would be annoying.
No, it's just white. Yeah, I kept it pretty fitnessy, but I feel like we blab anyways.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, you start it. I got my Ghost energy drink. I'm ready to go.
I know, what flavor is that one?
Cherry limeade.
Nice. Have you tried those ones at Costco? The red ones? They're like those are the Z.
Zubia or something like that.
Yeah.
I haven't.
They have like Christmas ones out right now. They're red. They're actually pretty good.
Like peppermint flavor?
No, it's like peppermint flavor.
I was like Christmas.
I feel like it's like cranberry.
Oh.
Like inspired.
Okay. Yeah.
Speaking of, the cranberry poppies are good.
I don't really like cranberry all that much.
Really?
Yeah. But I do like the...
Maybe it's just like fruity flavored then. I don't know.
The Canada Dry Diet Cranberry. I like those.
It's like $12 at Nature's Fair though. For 4.
For 4? Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm like, okay, well at least I don't drink alcohol, but... Okay, so how do you feel after a night of poor sleep? Or how do you find that poor sleep impacts you?
I think I notice it more now than I ever have before. Just because I put more emphasis on it now. I feel pretty groggy. Like, I don't know. I don't think it really changes the way I like go about my day. Like I still have to like do what I need to get done. But I definitely do notice like feeling a little bit more groggy, feeling a little bit more tired. I do actually, if I have a night of bad sleep, I end up having like more caffeine. I end up having more than just the coffee or...
Yeah. But you probably find that even if you have a bad night of sleep, you don't really let it change your day and how you go about your day the following day because you are more like...
I feel like because I'm more in tune and I feel like I'm more consistent. Like I know for most people, if they do have a bad night of sleep, they end up craving crappier foods or skipping the gym or something like that. But yeah, for me, I still go about my day as if I were to have a good night's rest.
Yeah.
But I know for a lot of people, they end up making poor decisions based on a bad night's sleep. But most people don't even know that they're making bad decisions because of that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I didn't sleep very well last night. It wasn't that I didn't sleep very well, it's just that I didn't sleep very long.
Long enough, yeah.
I went to bed at like 12, which I never do, and then woke up at like 5:30.
I know, you replied to my message pretty early. I was like... they just played volleyball like a few hours ago.
Yeah, the girls were up early and I knew it was going to happen, but we got home at like 10:30 and I was like, okay, I can't just go to bed right now after playing or whatever. But what I noticed personally is I find like the grogginess, I feel really groggy. It's like hard to wake up. So I typically do have more caffeine. Usually I only have 2 cups of coffee in the day. When I'm sleep poorly, I can have upwards of like 3 to 4 caffeinated drinks a day, which I know doesn't make me feel good long term, but I'm just like reaching for energy. And then I'll also find that like around noon or in like the early afternoon, I'm like more hungry, but just snacky. I could just reach for snacks here and there where typically I don't feel that way. And it's because my body is tired and it's just looking for food, looking for energy. And it also impacts your hunger hormones when you're not sleeping properly. And then I just find getting movement in, like going for a walk or going to get a workout in, it just feels a bit harder. I feel like I'm dragging a little bit more versus when I sleep better. But I think that a lot of people don't understand. They can't make that connection or correlation between I had a good sleep, I like felt great during the day, or I didn't have a good sleep. And it's because they're not as in tune with like how their body feels when they eat properly or when they're properly hydrated or well rested or whatever.
Are you working out today?
Yeah.
Are you going to change your training based off of how you slept the night before?
I probably won't, honestly. No. But I think people do.
Yeah.
For me personally, like, unless my body is feeling sore, like unless I'm feeling soreness, usually when I get into my training session, I can push hard and have a good workout. It's more so just actually starting it when I'm fatigued that can be a little bit harder. But
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah.
But people always say when those days that you don't want to work out are the days that you should be working out because you end up feeling better after you get it done.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. I don't think I would change my workout either. I know sometimes, well, I've told clients in the past, like last week, I had one client who he said he just hasn't been sleeping well for like a couple of weeks. And I'm like, man, you're probably better off just even skipping the gym and just getting some sleep rather than pushing through it and trying to get a workout in.
Yeah.
Like you're probably doing yourself a disservice by not skipping the gym at this point. Yeah. But that's very specific, right? For some people, I wouldn't give that advice to, but for someone who's struggling with sleep, like probably better off just skipping the gym and get some sleep.
If it's like consistently poor sleep for like days or weeks at a time, then definitely.
Yeah, but if it's one night of bad sleep, no, like you can still make it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, how long have you been a trainer now, coaching?
8 years.
8 years.
Yeah, since 2016.
So obviously over 8 years, things have changed in like your fitness journey and the way things are, the way you coach. So how has your fitness philosophy changed from when you first got started to where things are now? Because obviously you've been through different phases of fitness. You've done a lot of different things. Yeah. So how has it changed over the years?
I feel like the more experiences that I go through and have gone through, the better I'm able to relate and empathize with my clients and put myself in their shoes. I could do that to a certain degree when I first started coaching, but I was also in like a completely different season of life where I was at home. I didn't have the responsibility of kids. I was working multiple jobs, but it's just really being able to like relate and empathize with my clients. And then I also think that through coaching people over the years and being able to hear their stories and coach them through certain phases of life, like that's also given me the ability to be able to learn from them and grow. So I just think in terms of actually being able to relate and provide my clients with helpful feedback and support, it just hits a little bit harder when you've actually lived it or experienced it before. So I would say that I definitely used to be one of the coaches who, you know, we all have the same 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
Like in my early, probably like 2016, 2017, I kind of had that mindset, and I've 100% changed that because I don't think that we do all have the same 24 hours in a day. But yeah, how about you?
Yeah, I'm very similar in the sense that, yeah, like as a young person just going to the gym, when you first get started in the gym, you're very motivated and you're full of energy. Whereas typically the people that we work with and the people that we coach, typically they're a little bit older than we are. So for us to take our experience of training and as much as we do train, as much as we like fitness, and applying that to someone who doesn't really care about fitness all that much is obviously the wrong approach. And I think that's what I used to do a lot of the time was I go to the gym 5 to 6 days a week. I train heavy. I want to build all this muscle. Like, why wouldn't you want to do the same thing? But I think that's just from a lack of experience. I think the older we get, not that we're all that much older, but as we age and as we, you know, are in this longer, you start to realize that like, yeah, maybe 10% of people like fitness the way we do. And the other 90% don't really like fitness, but know that they should be doing something health and fitness related. So meeting people where they're at is obviously the obvious answer now, whereas it wasn't obvious before. Yeah. But yeah, definitely, I used to think everyone should want to be a bodybuilder. Everyone should want to be shredded or have as much muscle as they possibly can. But it's like, no, what's actually important for people is that they just feel good. They're not in pain. They can play with their kids. Like the amount of applications that I read and people are just like, I want to be healthy for my kids. I'm like, okay, if this is what I see 95% of the time and 5% of the people are saying, I want to build as much muscle as possible, what's most important for these people, right? It's pretty obvious when you've worked with enough people.
Or also like helping people realize what they actually do want out of their health and fitness journey. Because I do think a lot of people come to us and they want the 6-pack abs and they want that level of leanness and they want to be shredded and they equate that to being their healthiest and most fit self. And, sure, we can help them achieve that if it's truly something that they want to achieve for a period of time. But I think through that experience, we can help people realize that having a 6-pack, being your most shredded, it doesn't equal your healthiest, your fittest, your strongest, or your most balanced in terms of the other things that you have going on in life too.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like you think you want that, but then if you commit to actually getting there, then you realize like, oh, this was a lot of work, or like maybe it's not worth it. Which is why I've said on Instagram so many times that like abs are overrated, because it's like, yeah, they look cool, but like once you get there, you realize like it took a lot of effort, it takes a lot of work and a lot of sacrifice. Like it's not worth it.
And the average person doesn't need to have that level of sacrifice either.
No.
I also think with coaching, the more and more that I coach, the more I am more focused on the client's psychology and like their mindset and their behaviors, their beliefs, any negative cycles that they're stuck in and things like that. Because I think that sometimes people look for the perfect plan in terms of the perfect workouts and the perfect exercise selection and the perfect diet. And they don't take into consideration like human behavior and how that can adjust. And like the perfect plan isn't perfect if someone can't adhere to it or if it doesn't actually fit within their lifestyle. And I could design a really fantastic plan for a client, but if they're stuck in these negative cycles or thought processes or patterns, or they have like a fixed mindset where they truly don't think that they're capable of growth or change, then they're never going to be able to succeed within the journey. So I think it's just my coaching's become a lot more about that mindset aspect and helping them through habits. And I always say to people, the hard moments or the times that you fail or the times that you're struggling, those can be like the biggest opportunities for growth for a lot of people. And that's where people really do build resilience and they build skill set and they show themselves that like they're capable of pushing through hard times. Because if you're only showing up for yourself when everything is going absolutely perfect and to plan, it's not going to be sustainable long term for you.
Yeah. I want to go back to what you said about the perfect plan. It's funny because I literally use that when I'm talking to people about coaching. Like it's literally part of my pitch where I'm like, you think you want the perfect plan. And I always use the example. I'm like, you could literally have the training plan that LeBron James has and the nutrition plan that LeBron James has. Debatably, he's got access to like the best trainers and nutritionists in the world. But if you get this plan and you can't apply it to yourself, it's worthless. Like if it's not something you can follow, then you're going to get nothing out of it. So, you think you're looking for like this magnificent plan or something that's like so in depth and complicated, but if you can't follow it, like what's the point of having it?
Yeah. You don't need to have the plan of like an NBA professional basketball player.
No,
right?
Yeah, like you're not an NBA, you're just a 40-year-old dad who wants to like stop feeling lower back pain. Like you don't need all that stuff. Yeah.
I agree. It's weird being here with no wasps and bugs and stuff.
Yeah. That's crazy. It's been like 4 months since we filmed.
Yeah. I know. It's been a minute. I wanted to like be a little bit festive with here. I do have like the reindeer antlers for you, but you don't have to.
I should have dressed up as Santa.
That would have been hilarious. Okay, you did the last one, didn't you? Mm-hmm. What is your take on cheat meals? The word cheat meals. Well, utilizing them.
The word, I've actually never used the word cheat meals with any of my clients. I actually don't even use free meals with any of my clients. The way I look at it is I give my clients free reign to choose whatever they want to when it comes to food. If they decide that they're going to go out and get a quote unquote cheat meal, that's fine. But you have to understand, like you're probably going to feel crappy. You're probably going to over consume calories if you're in a deficit. You're probably not going to hit your macros, so on and so forth, depending on what they order at the restaurant. So I don't know. I calling it a cheat meal, first of all, obviously attaches a negative connotation to it. So it's not the most favorable way to refer to eating out at a restaurant. But again, I don't really use them in my coaching because, we're all adults. You're free to decide what you're going to eat. But if you're going to decide to eat something that's going to make you feel crappy, then there's going to be some consequences. So I leave it up to them, and I pretty much leave the power in their hands. Because again, that's not really my job, is to tell them exactly what to eat. To an extent, yes. But at the end of the day, we're coaching people through real life, and real life includes going out to eat. So when you go out to eat, if you order, steak and sushi, you're going to get a lot of protein. It's relatively clean macros, relatively clean calories. But if you're going to get a plate of like loaded nachos, not a lot of protein in that. It's probably going to sit in your stomach weird. You're probably going to feel like crap the next day. So I kind of leave it up to them.
Yeah. I feel like you said, the word cheat, it's immediately a negative connotation.
Yeah.
I'm cheating on my diet. And sometimes that can cause people to spiral or snowball into more as well. I find if I am seeing this online of where someone is working with a coach and they're given a cheat meal, they tend to actually choose more processed foods versus if someone is just going out and they're just choosing a meal, they might make like a better choice, like a good serving of protein, carbs, fats, fiber. Or if they do enjoy something that's a little bit more processed or a little bit higher calorie, they don't feel the need to like finish it all, or they're not thinking about the next cheat meal that they're going to have or something like that. And I always tell my clients, like, having neutrality when it comes to food is really important. So not thinking of food as good or bad or clean or dirty. I like to show my clients how to think of food as being on a spectrum.
Yeah.
Right? So on one side of the spectrum, you have your super whole, nutrient dense, limited processed foods. And then on the other side, you have your more calorically dense, maybe higher calorie, calorically dense, processed, maybe high sugar, more saturated trans fats. And if you eat all the way on that side, you're going to notice a difference, right? Just like if you eat all the way to the unprocessed side, you are too. But sometimes being somewhere in the middle for a meal, or maybe enjoying a meal that's a little bit more processed, like, it's not going to hinder you long term as long as you focus on what you're doing consistently. And I think it's just about building awareness on how your body feels as well.
Yeah. I think that's a big thing, is building awareness. For the most part, in the first couple of weeks of any program that the client starts, they're typically pretty well on the plan, like on track. Okay, it's the first couple of weeks in the program. They're very, very motivated, and they follow everything to a T. They're eating whole foods, they're cooking at home. But, eventually you're going to eat out, right? Which is fine. And so when clients do eat out, I typically get a message saying like, hey, I felt like crap after eating out at the restaurant or whatever. And it's like, yeah, like, that's just bringing awareness to how those foods make you feel when you've been eating clean for so long. So bringing awareness is huge. That's all personal training and coaching really is bringing awareness to the foods you're eating, how much exercise you're doing. That's why we have a step goal for clients, is like, wow, I'm only at 5,000 steps. Now you're aware that you need to move your butt or walk around, right? It's a lot of it is just helping people become self-aware. Yeah.
And I think just the word cheat in general is just negative.
Yeah.
Food is just food.
It's very bodybuilding. Like, I can see the value in implementing cheat meals and free meals with bodybuilders because they're so rigid. So that makes sense. But I mean, 95% of the clients we work with are not bodybuilders. So there's no point in having that type of implementation.
Yeah. I agree.
Do you think, what do you think is the most challenging part for clients during the holidays? Because obviously it's chaotic, it's hectic. There's a lot of food, there's a lot of drink. What do you think is most challenging for them? Obviously we're dealing with clients right now in the holiday season.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what clients are saying.
A lot of our clients down in the States just celebrated Thanksgiving, and now we have Christmas in a couple weeks.
I think that people feel really overwhelmed this time of the year, and they have a lot going on. They're preparing for Christmas. Maybe they have kids who have like sporting events, Christmas concerts, they have work functions, and there's just a lot of running around and things to do this time of the year. And I think that sometimes that puts people in this chaotic, unorganized, overwhelmed mindset. And when that happens, sometimes people's initial reaction is to put their habits on the back burner, right? Like I don't have time to meal prep. I don't have time to get my workout in today. I don't have time to walk or anything like that. And then as soon as they have a couple of days or a little bit off, it kind of spirals into more. But I think it's a bit harder for them to get back into consistency this time of the year because there's always something, right? So if they have a couple off days, like, okay, well, it's my Christmas party this weekend. So like, what's the point? Or it's Christmas next week and I'm having people over. So I may as well just wait until January or something. But I think that people need to realize that if you have a couple of Christmas functions during the week, the average person, like say that they eat 4 to 5 meals a day or something, that's like 30 plus meals a week, right? So if 1, 2, even 3 of those meals is a little bit off, it doesn't mean the whole week is in shambles. Like you choose to do that. If you have a dinner out and you don't eat your well-balanced rounded meals during the day and you don't put any awareness into your meal prep or planning, you're setting yourself up for failure before you've even given yourself a chance. And it's just that all or nothing mentality where people think that if they have a couple of events or a dinner out, well, what's the point in me doing like anything today or this week or something? So just focusing on what you can do, I think is really important, and recognizing that there are going to be some times where maybe you're 60% adherent or 70% adherent, but that's so much better than just throwing in the towel.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. A lot of people go into this chaotic kind of mindset. And if you think about it, it's not like you've got 25 days of Christmas events. You probably have 5. You know, most people probably have like 5 events. And even for that, for some people, that sounds exhausting. Like at most, you probably have 5 Christmas events. You have your family, maybe your partner's family get together, a work Christmas party, friends, and then, I don't know, maybe some other random one. So at most, maybe 5 to 6. And yeah, like you said, there's a handful of meals, a handful of days where you're going to be off track, but it's really not going to make that big of a difference. And a lot of I tell a lot of my clients, like, hey, just pick and choose what events you're going to quote unquote go hard at, or quote unquote, you know, take it easy at. You know, if there's, you know, I know when I would get together with my friends, you know, back in the day during Christmas, it was like, okay, I know I'm getting together with my friends here. I'm probably going to enjoy some food and enjoy some drinks here. But, you know, when I go to this event here, I know it's going to be a little bit more tame, a little bit more chill. Maybe I'll just, you know, I won't drink at that event. So I always tell them, like, pick and choose. You don't have to go crazy at every single event. You don't have to drink. You don't have to, you know, eat the treats at every single event. Pick and choose the ones that you're going to enjoy yourself at. And then the other ones, just make smart choices. Sure, have one drink, maybe, you know, one thing, you know, that like one treat, something like that. But I just say, like, you don't have to go hard at every single Christmas event.
I think that sometimes people get the notion that as coaches, we're always perfect.
Yeah, I know.
And I find that really funny because, well, I just know that it's not true. But I also think that people think that they have to be perfect in that sense as well. And then sometimes that can be a little bit of a downer. You know, they're like, oh, I can never like go out with the boys and like drink 5 beers ever again or something like that. But they automatically make that assumption because we're health and fitness coaches.
Yeah.
But I think the reason why, like speaking for myself, and I think you as well, why we have such a good balance is because we do enjoy things like that. But it is on occasion and it is selective, right? Yeah. I have such a huge sweet tooth, and if I were to overindulge in sweets at every single event that I went to or every single opportunity, like it wouldn't be good. It wouldn't be great for me. I know that I wouldn't feel great. But I will say, like around Christmas time, probably like maybe Christmas Day, and then if I go to a Christmas party or something, like if there's a good dessert, like, yeah, you know what, I might have 2 servings of it or something like that. Or the occasional time that I drink, because I drink very infrequently, but probably like a couple of times a year, like I will have like 3+ drinks, but I'm not doing that every single event or every single occasion. But I think just realizing that, you know, you can still do that stuff every now and then. And we also do it with the understanding that we're probably not going to feel our best the next day either. Yeah. But that also doesn't send us like spiraling because we know that it's just one day or something, right? Like if you have too many drinks on occasion, the next day you may feel like crap, but then you're fine after that.
Yeah, I was telling a client the other day, like, you know, this is real life we're coaching you through. And for us, like, we understand that there's social events and there's all these things and Christmas events. So that's why we're coaching you through real life. And that's why we tell you, yeah, have some drinks, have some food, because it's reality here. Like, we're not in some sort of like scientific study where we're all making sure everyone's perfect and on track for 16 weeks. We have Christmas, we have holidays, there's birthdays. Like, that's real life. And that's why we want to coach you through real life scenarios and how to be healthy and fit. I always say, I want to make health and fitness a part of your life. I don't want to make your whole life about health and fitness.
Yeah, super true.
But I think that kind of leads into the next question is, what do you think the fitness industry has done poorly of? And what we were just talking about, the fitness industry has really hammered it into people that in order to be viewed as healthy and fit, then you need to be perfect all the time, or you need to have 6-pack abs, or, not live the way that most people live, which just isn't true.
Yeah, one thing that I think of is that the health and fitness industry has tried to make money off of things that are flashy or things that are exciting, enticing, like sexy or something like that. Whereas the message that we share is just a lot more realistic.
And it's boring.
A lot more sustainable, and that can be boring, right? Because people are looking for the next diet or, the next magic pill that's going to fix them or something like that. When in reality, the people who are the most successful, their day-to-day health and fitness routine is kind of mundane, I would say. It's not super exciting, but it should almost be that way, because there were times in my health and fitness journey where I was so obsessed with like going to the gym and eating and posting everything fitness related that it was all encompassing, and I didn't have like time or capacity for anything else. And so I think that's the majority of people. So yeah, I think the fitness industry has just, it's an industry. They're trying to make money. So you'll see a lot of things like being recycled, trends being recycled, or things that they're trying to sell, when in reality it's just the boring day-to-day.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate, because that's just human behavior, is that humans are more or less going to pay more attention to the flashy, sexy stuff. Even with Instagram and social media, like, the people who get the most views are people who are promoting, honestly, like, useless, dumb information, right? It really isn't actually going to help people move forward with their health and fitness. It's the flashy stuff that catches your attention for 3 seconds, and then they get the most views. Whereas people like us or other good health and fitness coaches will put out good information, but it doesn't get any traction, or it doesn't get the reach that we feel like it should, that can help a lot of people, because it's not new and exciting. So in a way, it's almost like the consumer's fault. Like, it's kind of like our human behavior's fault.
Yeah.
But the fitness industry just does a really good job of capitalizing on that.
Yeah. And I think people like to be amused and entertained too when they're on social media. So for example, seeing somebody post a squat demonstration video that's filmed from the side, where you can actually see the angle and see how their body goes down in a squat, and they're doing a good explanation of how to squat. Or you can watch like a Instagram influencer where the camera is like from behind upper butthole.
Yeah.
And like that gets like millions of views,
Yeah.
but it teaches you absolutely nothing. And then there's like a good quality video and it's like, skip, boring. Like my eyes aren't drawn to it. I'm not watching it or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like the polarizing content always gets the attention.
Which can be like, again, I watch the polarizing content. Like, I watch, like, it works.
Yeah.
Like, that's why it has so many views. But at the end of the day, like, for the average viewer, like, we're aware enough to know, like, okay, that was stupid. Like, that doesn't really help anybody. But to the average person, they think, oh, this is what I need to be doing. I need to be, I don't know, following some stupid diet, or I don't know, putting butter in your coffee, like whatever the latest influencer is promoting.
Yeah. I think it's just consumerism too, where sometimes if people are active on social media, they get sucked into needing the newest gym outfit or this new activewear set, or they can't go to the gym unless they have like nice headphones and a nice matching outfit on, right? When some of the best workouts that I have are in my garage when I'm wearing like a sweatsuit that's unmatching, and like nothing about it is aesthetic.
It's all in our own
like
head.
that. Yeah.
I think this goes for like general lifestyle too, but I've come so far as a society that there's so many things now in our lives that we deem as a standard when really they aren't standards, like having a Netflix account. You don't need a Netflix account. Having an Apple Watch, you don't need an Apple Watch.
Pretty far.
I think it literally cut off at you talking about your new Lulu set. Is it new?
I feel like you have way better ones than me.
Are you catching my transitions?
Yeah, they're good. Really
Toastmasters paying off.
That's good flow, for sure. Mine are not like that at all. Okay. Cutting or building, which do you prefer?
I prefer building. Even though I think building is actually harder than cutting, that might be a hot take, but I think building and bulking is a lot harder than cutting. A lot of people probably won't agree with me, but I think going through an intentional build, I think it makes sense for someone like me. I've never been overweight, I've never been obese, so it's easier for me to sit here and say that building is a lot harder, whereas someone who has probably spent most of their life obese and overweight, they'd probably disagree with me, which is fair. From my perspective, I think building is a lot harder. I find myself, if I am going through an intentional building phase, I literally force feeding myself. I need to really be intentional with all my food. I have to have my food scheduled out. And if I don't have it scheduled out, or if I'm not on top of things, then I'm going to fall behind and I won't see the progress that I'm hoping for. Whereas for me, when it comes to cutting, I find it easy to be active throughout the day. So I burn a lot of calories through activity. I find my hunger isn't crazy rampant throughout the day. And yeah, it's easier for me, but I know for some people it's a lot more challenging.
As a male, as a guy, do you find that when you're building, you have any bad body image days or anything like that?
No,
or do you feel
actually, it's funny
generally?
that you bring that up. I think I've only ever experienced body dysmorphia cutting. I don't I feel like I don't feel big enough or manly enough if I'm not cutting. I have found myself at one point where I think I took the bulk a little too hard, where I think I've talked about this.
The bulk was bulking.
The bulk was bulking, and I was laying on the couch one day, and my shirt was sitting in such a way that I could see my belly, and I was like, oh, maybe that's an issue. But even then, I was just kind of I didn't think of it as body dysmorphia. I just kind of thought of it as maybe I should clean up the diet a little bit here. But actual true body dysmorphia, where I looked at myself and was like, that's not good enough, or had negative thoughts about my body, it's only ever been through a cut. It's never been through a building phase. I actually feel way more confident building and being at a maintenance phase than I do in a cut. Mm-hmm. I hate that stringy, skinny feeling. I hate that. Yeah. But I think that's because I come from as a skinny person and a hard gainer. I think that's why I hate that feeling so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely find for me, my body's been through so many different looks over the last few years, from competing to pregnancy to postpartum, that I don't necessarily have a hard time when I'm building and I'm a little bit heavier on the scale. But I think it's more so being a coach and someone in the health and fitness space. Mm-hmm. I'm what do people think of me right now? Right. If I'm a little bit heavier, if I have a little bit of excess body fat. And I will say some aspects of the fitness industry have changed to where people understand that your level of leanness doesn't equate to how healthy or fit you are. And I also find when I'm in a building phase, I feel a bit more empowered to show women that it's okay if you're focusing on building muscle to have some additional body fat, because I think a lot of women struggle with that so much that they hold themselves back, and that they're so scared of eating a little bit more and maybe gaining a couple of extra pounds. They're so terrified of seeing the number on the scale go up that they never actually put themselves in a position to where they're going to be able to build muscle and change their physique. And so they're constantly either dieting or just overdoing things and not actually making long-term progress. Whereas I would say the majority of people, if you want to be actively building muscle, you don't need to gain a ton of body fat by any means, but you're going to have to get used to the scale and maybe creeping up at a slow, sustained pace if you're doing things properly. And again, everyone's bodies are different. Some people, like if they're hard gainers or something, or they just have more of an ectomorph body type, like they can eat really high calories and not gain a bunch of body fat, but gain muscle. But whereas other people, they maybe do have to gain a couple of extra pounds. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel I always feel like when I'm coaching women specifically through a building phase, I always have to be like careful of how I describe building muscle and putting weight on your body, because for so long, women have been told that they need to be smaller and skinnier and all these kinds of things, right? So I always find it challenging to get that buy-in from women. But once you get there, and like once you have someone buy into the building process and eating more food and building strength, it's so cool. I have one client right now that I've been working through with this, and it's really cool to see her really buy in and feel strong and lift heavier weights. She does occasionally say like, hey, the scale went up, like kind of made me feel crappy. But, she's able to reel herself in and be like, but I know I'm getting stronger. I know I feel better, all these cool things. So it's really cool to see, the buy-in and all these light bulbs going off for her. Cause yeah, like you're asking me, like as a guy, how does it feel? And I'm sure as a girl, there's more societal pressures to be smaller and be skinnier. And
Yeah, it's a breakthrough, I think, for a lot of women when they're able to kind of shed the belief that smaller, seeing a lower number on the scale is better. They should be lifting light weights. They shouldn't be taking up as much space or something like that. And then they actually step into like their confidence. And it's a big part of it is not caring about what other people think, right? I think a lot of people go through their health and fitness journey with that, but yeah.
It's I don't know, it's challenging. I know for some guys, obviously I know it's challenging trying to build muscle. Like again, my other client, like I think he's up 20 pounds right now, but he's come like such a long way, like building strength and building muscle. And it's so funny, like upping his calories all the time.
Yeah.
And he's been saying like, yeah, my clothes are just getting too tight now. He's like, all of this muscle is like going to like my ass. It's all going to like my shoulders and stuff like that. So it's cool to see, these breakthroughs with clients. Cause it's like, yeah, if he didn't step into the program, who knows if he would have ever been able to push himself to these numbers of building.
I remember, do you follow Julian Smith?
Yep.
Okay, so he has shared his health and fitness journey like timeline before, and I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but I think he said there was a period of like a couple of years where he was actually quite heavy, but he was like training really hard and eating a lot, and he attributes like the muscle mass that he has now from that period of time. And a lot of people don't understand that, right? Like a lot of influencers that you see are people in the fitness space, if they are in really great shape where they have a lot of muscle, they probably didn't build that muscle like with where they're at right now in their health and fitness journey. Mm-hmm. And I think like some of the people who are the most successful actually did go through a period where they were a bit heavier for like a period of time, not just like a month or like a couple of months, because that's really where you're able to build like a really solid foundation. And once you build muscle, it's pretty hard to fully lose it.
Yeah, it's very hard.
And even if you do lose it, there's a thing called muscle memory where you can actually gain it back really quickly. Mm-hmm. So building muscle, I would say, is like really hard for people, and they don't understand the amount of time that it takes to build a really solid foundation. But once you do build it, as long as you remain consistent, like you're golden.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing as Nick Bear. You know Nick Bear? Mm-hmm. So he's like a pretty muscular guy. Like he has like a bodybuilder built physique. But you see him now and he's like this, he's a crazy runner. Like he's very, very talented with running, but people look at him and you're like, wow, he's got so much muscle and he's a great runner. But yeah, years ago, he used to be huge. Like he was a thick guy, and he probably built a lot of that muscle during that time. Right now, he's like super lean, so all of his muscle is showing. But people don't realize, like, yeah, he didn't gain all this muscle like recently. Like a lot of this muscle is probably from when he was super heavy, lifting heavy, eating a lot of food. But now it just shows now because he's a runner now, he's lean, and all that muscle just stuck around.
So he's just maintaining it now.
Yeah, he just maintains it. Yeah.
People also don't realize that in order to actually maintain muscle, you don't need to even train very much.
No, not much at all.
Like I think it's 1 to 2 days a week or something like that. And as long as you're giving some stimulus to the muscle group that you're training, it doesn't need a ton.
No. Yeah, you need. I think it's like 1/9 of the effort that it took you to build the muscle is what you need to maintain it.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
That's why when I have a client who gets sick or gets injured or has to take a period of time off of training, they immediately start stressing about losing muscle. I'm like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like I assure you it's not going to happen. And sometimes it's people, if they don't train for a week or a couple of weeks, they feel really flat. Their muscles are like a bit deflated, flat feeling. They aren't as like pumped up from training. So I think that a lot of it is just mental, the mental aspect of it.
Yeah, for sure. I know I feel like that. Like if I take a week off from the gym, you have that like flat
feeling. You're like, I have no muscle.
Yeah. Or if you feel like, if you haven't been eating consistently, then like your body isn't as like filled out. Yeah, I definitely feel that.
Yeah.
This kind of ties into everything we've been talking about. But if you could change one thing about the way people view health and fitness, what would you change? I think an obvious one is being so focused on the way they look. I think that's where my head goes initially. But
I think comparing to other people, like a lot of people, whether they're just starting their health and fitness journey or, depending on how far into it they are, they get stuck in the comparison trap, whether it be people that they know or people that they see at the gym or people on social media. And I always tell my clients that energy you're spending comparing or fixating on someone else's progress or someone else's health and fitness journey, it's just taking away energy that you could instead be putting into yourself and bettering yourself. And you never, ever know what somebody is going through in their health and fitness journey or where they've come from or how long they've been doing it or anything like that. And so I think it's so unfair when people compare to other people.
It's unfair to themselves, but then it's also unfair to the person who they're comparing themselves to. I've always thought it's almost like insulting for someone to say, I've been working out for 4 months. Why don't I look like the guy who's been working out for 10 years? Like the guy who's been working out for 10 years, like you think he just got there, like, without any work or, time into the gym or anything. It's like, you can't expect to put in 4 months of effort and expect to get the results of someone who's been putting in the work for 10 years.
Yeah.
I think if people change the way they viewed fitness as a form of the way they looked, I think a lot of people would be a lot healthier. I think more people would do it. A lot of the times when someone's filling out an application, more specifically guys, a lot of the times they say, I want to look better with my shirt off, which is totally fair, right? That's something I think most people would like, is to, be able to take their shirt off and feel confident and feel okay. But what they don't know is that if they constantly focus on changing the way they look or how they look, they're never actually going to be happy with whatever results they get, right? If they focus on becoming healthier, they focus on becoming stronger and just moving better and, taking care of aches and pains, then the way you look you'll actually be happy with the way you look by pursuing different goals and pursuing different metrics of progress rather than just always focusing on the way you look, because it's subjective.
Yeah.
You may not think you look great, but to everyone else, you look amazing.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think if there's less focus on aesthetics and the way you look, even though, again, that is a huge driver for people, I think if people were able to let that go, I think a lot of people would be healthier.
Yeah, that's true. I was going to say that whenever I have a client who starts with me and they say, oh, like it took me a while to fill out the application, just in the sense that I kept putting it off or something like that. As soon as they start working with me, they're like, I wish I would have started sooner. Like, I only wish I would have started sooner. And I think it's because people see it as this all-encompassing, big time-consuming, looming thing. Or if they've done fad or restrictive diets in the past, they see it as something negative or something that they have to do, something that they have to like push through in order to reach their goals. When in reality, the way that we coach is very sustainable, working with the client's lifestyle, meeting them with where they're at, and focusing on just building consistency and momentum over time. So I think sometimes people see just focusing on themselves and their health and fitness as being this big thing that they have to like commit a bunch of time to. They have to be in the perfect position in life to be able to do it. Whereas it's like, just start. Like literally just start. It doesn't even have to be with a coach. It could be as simple as you just starting by going for a 30-minute walk every day, or hitting a daily water goal, or prioritizing getting some meal prep done or something. Like just start.
Yeah.
I think.
Literally anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to do one more?
Yep, that was all mine, so.
Okay, wait, this one's kind of dumb. I should think about it. Yours are always so good.
You think? No, I like yours.
Sometimes I try to think of questions that are simple. You know, I was actually talking to Carly about this the other day, because sometimes it can be hard for me to come up with content to post. And it's because I'm like, I've posted this before. Like I post, you know, I feel like I post the same thing over and over and over again. But there's actually nothing wrong with that.
No, there isn't.
And just posting like the basics and the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Obviously different people see my things at different times, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like I see every single thing that I post.
Right. But it's not like everyone has a backlog memory of everything you've posted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even things in my own health and fitness journey that I now don't think about because I've spent time solidifying them, where it feels second nature, to where people just starting out, like when I first started out, it wasn't obvious and it didn't feel second nature. I've been trying to think about that a lot with my content.
That was kind of like when we went to go talk to John, and like we talked to him about like posting on his Instagram about like finance and money. And he was like, well, everything about money is like boring. We're like, no, dude, that's what we think about fitness. But you know, you just post these things and you know, people will listen, but it's like the small mundane things that we're all constantly repeating, but that's what people need to hear. But yeah, we just think it's boring because we're so used to it and we see it all the damn time. But for someone new to it, it's good information.
Okay, so I feel like you're kind of like me in the sense to where if you want to accomplish something, you'll just accomplish it. You're not going to wait till the new year. It's not like a new year, new me vibes or anything like that.
Yeah.
But do you have anything that you either want to work on in 2025, or something like a bucket list item that you want to accomplish, or just something that you want to like refine in your everyday life?
Yeah, that's funny you asked that, because I saw this thing on, I think it was on TikTok, but it was this concept, this idea that every single year you do something in that year so that you can always look back and be like, that's the year I did this. That's the year I did this. So the guy in the video was using an example of this was the year I traveled here and did this hike. This was the year I took my kids to Disney World or whatever. And I was like, it got me thinking. I'm like, can I look back on all my years as far as it's significant and be like, oh, that's the year I did this. That's the year I did this. So I picked something out from every single one of my years in the past like 5 years. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like I have something. So I want to continue doing that. So I guess that's a good question for the new year coming up. I do want to run a half marathon minimum. I want to give that a shot. I haven't ran in a couple months, but I think I'm just more of like a seasonal runner. I like getting
I was actually
out,
wondering if you've run.
Getting
recently.
out in the cold right now, I'm like, you know, I don't care about it that much. I don't like it that much. But when it's nice out, yeah, I'll go. That like I'd prefer to just do it in the summertime or when it's warmer out. So I do 100% want to, I'll put that out there right now. I want to commit to a half marathon next year. And then I was also thinking about potentially doing one of those High Rocks events. Have you ever heard of them?
No.
It's kind of like CrossFit, but without the weights. It's more of like it's an endurance event where you're say you do like a farmer's carry for 100 meters. You do that, your partner does it. You do that, you go on to the next one. You're doing like a rower for 500 meters. You and your partner do it, go on to the next. Like it's a whole series of events. And I always thought that that would be fun and cool, just something different. So those 2 events are on my watch list / bucket list. I think I do want to do the half marathon before I do a High Rocks event, because those High Rocks events are kind of limited.
Right.
I think the only one in Canada is in Toronto. And then the rest of them are crazy. In the States and like Europe and stuff like that.
Oh, crazy.
So it would be a huge commitment, and I would want to do it with a partner. You can do like singles or doubles. So I'm throwing that out there now. If anybody wants to do a High Rocks event with me, let me know. I might be down.
It won't be me. Just kidding. Okay, what are some of mine? Oh, I just thought of one and then I forgot.
It doesn't need to be fitness related, I guess.
No. Okay, so one that's non-fitness related is actually hang family photos in my house. So we've lived in our house for over 3 years, and I've probably gotten 6+ family photo shoots done in that time, and there's not a single family photo hung in my house, and I feel like I put it off, and then by the time I actually am like, okay, I'm gonna do this, my kids look older. I'm like, well, I can't hang these pictures up. They don't even look, they look like babies or whatever. So that's one of my goals, is we're getting pictures done when we go on vacation, and I'm committing to getting them.
Do you have like a photo album?
Nope.
No?
Nope. I also was going to get like those books made, like photo albums made with all of the photo shoots that we've done. But then I feel like I'd go down a rabbit hole of like printing other photos too. And then I would have like 50 books of photos, which I mean, wouldn't be the worst thing, but yeah, no, I don't have photo albums. And I really do want to do that, because I remember being a kid and looking through my parents' picture albums of like vacations that we went on and stuff. And it was like really cool. So that's something I want to do for the girls too. We'll get there. And then there was what was the other one? There was like a fitness related one. So I've trained 4 days a week for as long as I can remember. I mean, probably the last 4+ years. And I think that I want to go down to training 3 days a week and then adding a different activity in on the 4th day. So I've said that I'm going to start running for like 6 months.
That's too cold.
I don't want to be like a runner. No hate to people who are runners. I genuinely, the cardio that I do right now is like running after my children, walking, and playing volleyball.
Yeah.
So I want to add in another sort of cardio that isn't just like doing 30 minutes at the gym on the treadmill or the bike or something that's a little bit different. But in the spring / summer, I'm hoping to play soccer, in which case that would be like my 4th day. So yeah, I'm going to bring my training down to 3 days a week. I was going to do it this month, but I'm like, I'm not a winter runner girly. I don't really want to run on an indoor track. Like I would rather do something outside for kind of my 4th workout of the week or whatever. So just changing my routine. It's been the same for a really long time. And then did you give one? And I'm just like...
No, I'm listening. I'm entertained. No,
I'd say shot blast, but we all know that's not happening.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah, you definitely gave
I said the half marathon and the High Rocks thing. You know,
like a non-fitness one?
Non-fitness.
Greg's just killing it.
Well, no, I'm sure there's something. I didn't put any thought into it. Let me think. Non-fitness. I'm trying to think. Maybe something to do with content, because I feel like I've gone so back and forth for the last 7 years as to what kind of content I want to post, when I'm going to post, how consistently, how often do I use the camera, like all these things. YouTube. Like I feel like I've gone back and forth with so many things. Yeah. And I think I just need to fully accept that there's going to be slumps where I just don't want to post. I don't feel like posting. And then there's going to be times where I'm very motivated, where I'm posting every single day, different content, all different types of content, and just being more relaxed with it. You know, I feel like for a long time, and I'm sure I'll still start to feel this way, but I feel like sometimes like I get in my head where I'm like, everything could just like disappear. And then all of a sudden I'm like screwed. Like, what am I going to do? I'm screwed. So I want to try to like pull back and not be so stressed out with that kind of stuff. And just, you know, if I don't post once a day, or if I don't post every single week, you know, I'll be fine. You know, the world's not going to end, and just not put so much pressure on myself. Because I feel like putting so much pressure on myself is why I end up in some of those slumps. Yeah,
it's fair. Content can be hard.
Yeah.
I feel like as people who have showed up on social media for so long, you go through like highs and lows with it all the time.
Yeah.
Like all the time.
Yeah. But then like sometimes like I'll look at someone like B Mark, and I'm like, man, he's been posting 3 reels a day for like 3 years straight. And I'm like, you know what, that is just a different breed. You know, like I can fully accept I'm not like that. And I don't even know if I want to be like that. So I think I just have to, you know, really embrace it. I tell myself I accept it, but sometimes I don't accept it.
Yeah.
And just really embrace like, okay, like I don't need to push crazy like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it makes it less organic. Like if it's not something that you truly want to be doing all of the time.
Yeah. And I try to have like a mix of both with Instagram. Like I want it to be a personal page, but also a business page or like a coaching page where it's like, am I constantly posting fitness stuff, or should I share a little bit more of like the personal side? So I like having both. I like making it both because it makes you human, but then it also shows that you're a professional and like you do this training thing and you're a coach. Yeah. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It's been so hard for me to not
do these.
I think that's good.
Nice. Good stuff.
Killed it.
Those were good.